Hello, my dear students. How are you? In today's session, we will discuss the first exam in our book Evolution in Digital SAT Math, and we will study the first exam here, module number 1. And the first question says 13x is equal to 42 minus x. What is the value of x, or what value of x is the solution to this equation? Solution means the value of x even if the questions didn't ask you so. So the solution means the value of x. How can we get the x here? We need to combine these together. But because we have an equal sign between them, we have to move one to the other side with the opposite sign. This is not x, this is negative x. So when you move it here, it becomes positive x. So 13x plus x is equal to 42. And 13x plus x is 14x, and then equal to 42. Then we can divide by 14 in both of the two sides, and we get x equals to 3. And that's the answer, or the solution to the first equation. Here is the second one. An arborist measured and recorded the heights of red maple trees in a certain area. If the red maple tree heights recorded in this area, the minimum was 42 feet and the maximum was 57 feet. Which inequality is true for all possible values of t, where t represents the recorded height in feet of a red maple tree in this area. So the words maximum and minimum refer always to something between them. So the range is between the minimum and the maximum. This is why we have to choose letter D. And the same thing if the question says between. The word between is also the same as this answer. So our answer is letter D. And this also happens in the question like margin error. When I say margin error is, for example, 3, positive and negative 3, and our value is 10. This means 10 plus 3 and 10 minus 3, and our value of x lies between them. So that's the same idea. Our answer here is option letter D. Question number 3. Javer deposits $45 in a savings account at the end of each week. At the beginning of the first week of a year, there was $700 in that savings account. How much money in dollars will be in the account at the end of that sixth week of the year? So here we can consider a linear equation, because this is a linear equation. This increases in a linear way. So we have, in the beginning, we have this 700. So we can consider this as b. So our equation is y is equal to mx plus b. And b here is the initial number, which is the beginning. So here 700, we start with this number. And the m is the amount of money that's deposited every or each week. So in each week, we need to take this 45 instead of m. So 45 instead of this m. And x here is the number of weeks. But because at the end we need 6th week, which means that x is equal to 6. And then we get the value of y by calculating this. You can do them by the Desmos calculator. You can do it also by using our regular calculator. So we can just write the equation here, y. No need to write y, just calculate 45 times 6 and then plus 700. We get 970, which is letter D. Question number 4. The y-intercept of the graph of y is equal to x squared plus 27 is 0 and y. What is the value of y? So here y-intercept means that the value of x is always equal to 0. So when we need to calculate the y-intercept, we always replace x by 0. And it's already given here, as you can see. So we can say y is equal to 0 squared instead of x squared plus 27. And 0 squared is 0. 0 plus 27 is equal to 27. So this is our answer. Question number 5, we have an exponential or maybe a quadratic equation drawn here. In 2000, census was taken to determine population of a certain town. The graph gives the estimated population y in thousands of this town x. So here, these numbers are in thousands. X years after 2000. So this means 1 year after 2000. This is 2000, which means this is 2001, 2002, 2003, and so on. Okay, where x is between 0 and 5 inclusively, based on the graph, which of the following is closest to the estimated population 2 years after 2000? This is 1 year after 2000, 2 years is here after 2000. So we have to move up this way until we reach the graph. Once we touch the graph, we move to the left. And we can try to imagine the number here. As you can see, this is 6. This is 8, so 7 is exactly between them. 7 is here, but this is more than 7. Our line here lies above the 7, which means 7 point something. So here we can check for the options. We can see, yeah, because we have the numbers in thousands. So for example, 7.2 or 7.3 or 7.4, we have to multiply it by 1,000. So we have 7,400, which is the best answer for this one, or the closest answer to our answer, because we multiply 7.4 by 1,000 to get this number. So the answer of question number 5 is A. And then we have number 6. f of x is equal to 5x plus b. This is a linear equation. For the linear function f, b is a constant and f of 7 is equal to 35. What is the value of b? In this kind of question, we need to replace x by 7 and f of x by 35. So be careful when you replace the numbers. F of x here is the value, which is 35, equals to 5x plus b. And x here is the 7. Why? Because f of x is the same as f of 7. So this x means this 7. Now we write 35 again. 5 times 7 is again 35 plus b. And now we can ask ourselves, 35 is equal to 35 plus what? Plus 0, because 35 plus 1 is 36, but 35 plus 0 is 35. We have to maintain 35. If you move this number to the other side also, we can get the value of b as 35 minus itself, which gives us the value of 0. Number 7. The function h is defined by h of x is equal to 5 absolute value of x. What is the value of h of negative 3? So h of negative 3 means we replace x by negative 3. 5 multiplied by negative 3 inside the absolute value. So be very careful here, because the absolute value of a negative number is always a positive number. So 5 times absolute value of 3 means 5 times 3. Which is equal to 15, and it's not negative 15, it's positive 15, because the absolute value removes the negative sign from any number. Number 8, the table shows frequency, the frequency of values in a data set. What is the minimum value of this data set? Minimum value, these are the values, and the minimum value means the least number in this list, not the frequency. I want the smallest number in this list of numbers, which is equal to 13. So our answer is letter C. Number 9, the list gives the mass in grams of 5 ruffed lemurs. 3,910, 3,910 is repeated, 3,130, 3,950, 3,150. What is the mean mass in grams of these 5 ruffed lemurs? So the mean, how can we get the mean? Remember the formula. The mean is equal to the total over the number of values. I mean, here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 values, so we have to write 5 down here, and we have to get the total of them. We have to add them all together. We can also answer this question using Desmos by just writing these numbers, so we can calculate everything. We can just write the word mean. Mean here can be written in words like this, M-E-A-N. And open a pair of parentheses like this, and inside these we need to write the numbers and write a comma in between. each two of them. So 3,910, comma, 3,910 one more time, and then we have 3,130, 3,950, and the last number is 3,150. And be very careful writing the numbers. You have to check again, double check, because maybe you miss a number or something. So the answer is 3,610. And that's our answer for this question, number 9. Question number 10. This is a system of one linear equation and one quadratic equation. Which ordered pair is a solution to the given system? Here the algebraic solution is to substitute. Instead of y in the second equation, we can write this and then solve. Or it's better or easier to use Desmos for this kind of questions. If we want to get the solution to the system, we need to just write the system and see the intersection between these 2 points on the graph. So y is equal to 5 into x minus 3 gives us a line, as you can see here. And the second one is y is equal to a pair of parentheses first, and then write the square sign and go inside and write x minus 3. And then we have this graph, as you can see here. We need to get the intersection. Which ordered pair is our solution? If you press here, you get 8 and 25, which is letter B. If you click here, you get 3 and 0 is also a solution, but it's not written, it's not listed in the options. So we can just choose 8 and 25, which is letter B. That was the answer of question number 10. And then 11 says scientists collected fallen acorns that each housed a colony of the ant species P and analyzed each colony's structure for any of these colonies if the colony has X worker ants. So be very careful choosing or recognizing X here. X is talking about the number of worker ants. The equation y is equal to this number, or this equation. X is between 20 and 110. This means nothing. We ignore this one. Gives the predicted number of larvae y in the colony if one of these colonies has 46 worker ants, which replaces X here. X worker ants, and now we have 46 worker ants, which means just substitute. Which of the following is closer to the predicted number of larvae in the colony? So just to get the predicted number, we replace X by 46. So y is equal to 0.67 into multiplied by 46 instead of this X here, and then plus 2.6, and we get the answer that's very close to this calculation. So we can do that here on Desmos without even writing y, just we need to get the value of these. So 0.67 multiplied by 46, and then outside we write plus 2.6, and our answer is 33.42. 33.42, which is very close to what? To letter A, 33. The question says closest, or the number that is very close to the answer. So letter A is our answer of question number 11. Question number 12. Liam has $150 in an account each year that he expects to have 2.8% more. 2.8% more than what? In the account than he had the previous year. So remember always, when you have a percentage of increase or decrease but related or associated with the previous year, that means exponential function, not a linear one. Exponential function when you see percentage with the word previous. But because of the word more, this means that it's increasing. Which of the following models best describes how Lion expects the money in the account to change over time? It's already increasing because the word more, and increasing exponential because the percentage with the word previous. So letter C is our answer of question number 12. Number 13, we have a system of linear equations. The solution to the given system is x and y. What is the value of 2y? The easiest method here is to add them all together. If you add the two equations together, we cancel out the 9x and negative 9x because they are opposite signs. And now we have 5y minus 3y, which is equal to 2y, and 19 plus 7 is equal to 26. No need to get the value of y. The question says find the value of 2y, which is already here. 2y is equal to 26, so our answer is 26. That's it. You can also use Desmos, but this is not recommended for this kind of question because this is easier to answer without the Desmos calculator. But if you want, it's already here. We just write the system, maybe writing the system in 2 lines like this, 9x plus 5y is equal to 19, and then we have a line, and go to the other line, negative 9x minus 3y is equal to 7, and we have the 2 lines intersected at this point. You can just put your mouse here and you get 13 as the value of y. Here is this 13 because we are talking about y, but we don't need the y itself, we need 2y. 2y means 2 multiplied by 13, which is equal to 26. You can also use Desmos, but in another way, which is the list of numbers. So we can make the square brackets here like this, open and close another one, and then we need to write this sign here, that tilde between them, these two lists. And in the first list, we write the left side of the first equation, 9x plus 5y, but you have to write 9x1. x1, just write 1 beside it, plus 5y1. And then in the right side, we write 19. And then we come in the left again after y1 and make a comma and write the left side of the other equation, which is negative 9x minus 3y, but we have to write 3y1 and x1. And in the right side here, we make a comma and write 7. That's it. We get the y1 equal to 13. And if we want to get the 2y1, because the question asks for it, 2y1, it gives you 26. 2 methods to use in Desmos, and also another method, which is the algebraic solution, which is here in this kind of question. It's much easier to answer manually. Question 14. Line K is defined by this. Line J is perpendicular to the line K in the xy plane. What is the slope of line J? When I have a perpendicular line, it means that the slope is reversed. If this is 6, the slope of line K is equal to 6 because line K is written as mx plus b, as you can see, mx plus b. So here the slope of line K is m, which is equal to 6. Our perpendicular slope is the negative reciprocal of this number. So if it's 6 here, we convert it into, of course it's 6 over 1. So if we convert it, you have to flip it to make it 1 over 6 and change the sign to be negative. So negative 1 over 6. And this happens always when you have the word perpendicular. But in the word parallel, you need to get the same number without any change. So if it's 6 over 1, it becomes 1 over 6, and also a negative sign is associated. So here B is our correct answer. Then number 15. The product of a positive number x and the number that is 7 less than x is equal to 228. What is the value of x? So the product means multiply what by what? Something by something else. The first thing is a positive number x. And the second one is that number that is 7 less than x, which means x minus 7. All of that is equal to 228. And because x is a positive number, maybe you have 2 answers here, a positive and a negative one. We need to choose the positive one. So how can we get the answer of this one? You can use Desmos. You can also write them on your calculator, shift solving this, or you can distribute. Distributing here means x times x is x squared, minus x times 7 is 7x, and then we move this number to the other side, becomes negative 228 is equal to 0. You can also use, now you can use Desmos for this part only to have a graph and see where does this graph intersect the x-axis. So let's try it here. X squared plus 7 minus 7x minus 228. X squared minus 7x minus 228, and you can look at the graphing area and see this graph right here. The 2 points of intersection on the x-axis are 19 and 0 and negative 12 and 0. But we are focusing on the positive number, so we take only 19. The answer is 19, the answer to this question. And here this is question number 15. Okay, number 16 now is Rahim bought 9 shirts and wear each of the same price. That were the same price for each. Okay, he used a coupon for $54 off the entire purchase, all of the purchase. The cost for the entire purchase after using the coupon was $108. What was the original price in dollars for one shirt? So be careful about understanding. So number 16 needs to be understood. 9 shirts, and he paid 108 after the coupon, and the coupon is 54. So we need to get the original price. Original price is before omitting or removing this number 54 from the original number. So the original number was 108 plus 54. So original is equal to 108 plus 54. But for what? For all the shirts, for all the 9 shirts. So we can add them all together, we get 162. But this 162 is for the 9 shirts. How can we get one shirt? We divide them by 9. Original for that, this is for the total 9 shirts. But the original price for one shirt is equal to 162 over 9. Okay, and then we get the answer of 18. 162 over 9 is equal to 18. That's how to write the answer. So it's a matter of understanding, and it's just calculation. That was question number 16. And then question number 17 here is an absolute value equation. What are the sum of the solutions to the given equation? The sum of the solutions in the absolute value, you need to get both of the solutions. This is one method. Get both of the solutions and then add them all together. If you want to solve this manually, we need to divide by 7 in both sides first. So we have absolute value of x minus 7. These 7's are cancelled out, and then 42 divided by 7 is equal to 6. Now we split our page into 2 parts. X minus 7 is either 6 or negative 6. That's how to solve an absolute value equation. Here we move the 7 to the other side. X is equal to 6 plus 7, which is equal to 13. And we don't stop at 13 because we need to get the sum of the solutions. We have 2 solutions already. 7 moves to the other side, and we have negative 6 plus 7, which is equal to 1. Now we have 13 and 1. The sum is equal to the total of them, 13 plus 1, which is equal to 14. So the answer is letter C. And then we can also use Desmos. Here we can write the equation 7 absolute value, and you can see absolute value here down, and then write x minus 7. And then if you want to graph it on Desmos, you need to move this 42 to the other side with negative sign, because if you want to graph it accurately, you need to keep the right side equal to 0. So we have to move this 42 to become negative 42. And now we can look at the graph, but let's zoom in here to see the intersection on the x-axis. So here minus 42, and you can see these 2 points of intersection or the points of the solutions, 13 and 0 and 1 and 0. So 13 and 1 are the solutions, so we can add them together to get 13 plus 1, which is equal to 14, as we mentioned here. Number 18, in this diagram, in this figure, RT is equal to TU. So TU, which is this side here, is the same as RT, which means that this triangle is an isosceles triangle. Whenever you have an isosceles triangle, you need to know also that the sides, the angles on the different side are equal, which are the angles opposite to the equal sides. So this side is opposite to this angle, this side is opposite to this angle, so these two angles are equal. But we do not know one of them. How can we get one of them here? But let's see what the question asks for. The measure of angle VST is 23. What is VST? VST. So VS and then T, which means angle S. So whenever you have 3 letters, focus on the middle one. So S is 23. Right, 23 here. And the measure of angle RVS, which means here, is 34. Okay, what is the value of x? So here we can look at the 34, because this is very important to add to. We have a theory which is called the exterior angle. The measure of any exterior angle, if you have a triangle like this, and you have an angle here which is, for example, 60, this 60 is equal to the sum of these two angles, two remote angles, not the angle that comes beside it, the remote angles. So for example, if this is 20, this must be 40, because the total of these two angles must equal to 60. That's the exterior angle theorem. Here the same thing can happen, because this 34 is the, let's say, it's an exterior angle of this triangle, of this red one here. Which means that this 34 is the sum of the 23 and something here. So we can say 23 plus what is equal to 34. Just move the 34 to get the value. Let's say this is not x, let's say it's a, for example. So a is equal to 34 minus 23, which is 11. So here is 11, and once you have this angle 11, this must be also 11, because as we said, TU is equal to TR. This is an isosceles triangle, which means that base angles are equal. Now we can get the value of x, because the triangle TRU or TUR is an isosceles triangle, but it's, at the end of the day, it's a triangle which has a total measure of the angles of 180. So you can say x plus 11 plus 11, these three angles must be equal to 180 degrees. 11 plus 11 is 22, so x plus 22 is equal to 180. We need to move the 22 to the other side. X is equal to 180 minus 22, which is equal to 158. And that's the value of x. That's the answer of this question, number 18. Now we move to question number 19. A cube has an edge length of 82 inches. A solid sphere with a radius of 41 inches is inside the cube, such that the sphere touches the center of each face of the cube. So we can draw a cube like this, for example. Let's try to draw a cube. Draw a square like this, and another square here. And that's our cube. And we imagine that we have a sphere comes inside this cube. So the sphere is something similar to a circle, but it's a 3D figure. So we can draw a circle like this. And we know that this cube, this circle here, or this sphere, touches the center of every face, like this. And of course from here and here. Now we have this information. We have the cube has an edge length of 82. So all of this is equal to 82. The side length here is 82, and all the sides have the same length, inch. This also is 82 inch, and so on. And the solid sphere had the radius of 41. Of course, this is 41 because the center is here. The distance between the center and the end of this sphere is called the radius, and the radius is 41, of course, because it's a half of this 82. And here, the question says, to the nearest cubic inch, what is the volume of the space the cube not taken up from that sphere? Which means that's subtraction. We need to get the value of the volume of the cube minus the volume of the sphere to get the space which is not taken by the sphere. So how can we get this? We can get the volume of cube minus the volume of sphere. And of course we can use the formulas. On the blue book you have a link refers to the volumes, so we can get use of them. The volume of the cube is equal to the side length to the power of 3 minus the volume of the sphere is equal to 4 over 3 pi r to the third. So here the volume of the cube is s, and s is the side length, which is 82 to the power of 3 minus 4 over 3 pi times r, which r here is the 41, which is the radius of the sphere, 41 to the power of 3. And we can use Desmos or the regular calculator to find the answer of this. So 82 to the power of 3 minus 4 over 3 pi. You just write pi to get the letter pi, and then open the parentheses, or just write multiplied by 41 to the third, 41 to the third power, and you get the answer, as you can see, 262,672, which is very close to letter A. And that's how to get the answer easily. Number 20. The function h is defined by h of x is equal to a to the x plus b, where a and b are positive constants. The graph of y is equal to h of x in the xy plane passes through the point 0 and 8 and 2 and 32. These are the information that we can get use of to get the value of AB. AB means you have to get A and B and then multiply them all together. How can we use these points? Just substitute. H is the y value and x is the first value. So we can use the first point maybe to get the value of B. So instead of h of x, we write 8. And a, we do not have the value of 8, but we have 8, you have 0 as the value of x, plus b. And of course, you know that any number to the 0 power is equal to 1. So we can write 8 equals to 1 plus b. How to get b? Just move that 1 to the other side. 8 minus 1, which is equal to 7. So that's the value of b. And because b is a constant, we can use it in the other step, which is the other point. Replace h with 32, a to the x, and x is 2, and b, which is now 7, because b is a constant, and of course a and b are constants, so we can replace b also with the same 7. Now to get the value of a, we need to get rid of this 7. So a squared is equal to 32 minus 7, which is equal to 25. How can we get a here? By removing this square sign. If you want to get a, we have to write the positive and negative square root of the other number. But because the question says it's a positive constant, so we need to ignore writing plus and minus. We just take the positive number. So a is equal to, what is the square root? What is the positive square root of 25? It's 5. That's the value of a. But the question says find AB. AB means 5 multiplied by 7, which is equal to 35, letter B, and that's our manual solution. How can we solve this with Desmos? We can write the information as a list of data as you can see here, we can create a list to write everything. So h of x is equal to a to the x plus b. We can replace h by 8, for example. We can write the square brackets like this, and the sign, the tilde sign, and then we can write everything inside. Replace h by 8. We can write 8 here, and here in the other side we have a to the x plus b. A to the power of x, but we write x1. Always in the list we need to write x1 and y1 if we have something like this. Plus b, just write b. Okay, and then a comma in the left side. Yeah, sorry, instead of x1 we need to replace it by 0, because we have the point 0 and 8. So that's the first piece of information, and we make a comma and write the second point. 32 instead of the h, 32 in the left, and in the right here we make a comma, and a to the power of x we write a to the power of 2, because this 32 is related to the number 2. A to the power of 2, or just write square, plus b. And we get the values of a and b. Just write here a, b, and you get the answer. ab is equal to 32, and that's how to learn together how to get the value using Desmos. Question 21, we have an exponential function. F of x is equal to k into 1.84 to the x. The function f is defined by the given equation, where k is a constant. The value of f of x increases by p%. So remember that increasing by something percent means 1 plus this something over 100. This is the meaning of increasing by something percent. When I say increasing by 40%, it's 1 plus 40%, or 1 plus 40 over 100. Decreases by 40% means 1 minus 40%, or 1 minus 40 over 100, and so on. By what? For every increase for x by 1, every means you have to look at this, because we have 1 down here. 1 in the denominator means every is associated with the number 1. For which of the following functions where k is a constant does the value of g increases by the same p%? For every increase by 4. Every increase by 4 means you have to write 4 down below the x. So every is always the number that's in the denominator. So x must be x over 4. And the same number, because it's p%, which is 84, we keep it the same. So 1.84. And the exponent is x over 4. Let's write it as an exponent, x over 4. And we have to keep the value of k. So we no need to consider any number for k, but the word every increased by 4 means x over 4, which takes us to the option letter A. And then the last one is question 22. Of a square root function. F of x is equal to square root of 5x plus 6. The function f is defined by the given equation. If f of a is equal to negative 5a, where a is a constant, what the value of a? So be careful about this question, because it's maybe a tricky one. This is why it comes at the end of the exam, because sometimes we look at the question and say it's easy one, and it has something to be taken into account. So here f of x is the square root, and the square root, the question says that a is a constant, and we need to get the value of f of a. Yeah, we need to get the value of a. So if you want to get the value of a here, we can replace x by a, and we replace f of x by negative 5a. So instead of f of x, we write negative 5a, and the square root of negative 5, we replace x by a and write 5a plus 6. And now if we want to get the value of a, we need to square both sides. Squaring these gets negative to become positive. So positive 25a. 25a squared. Because this squared controls the negative sign, the 5, and the a. And then the square here cancels the square root. So we have 5a plus 6. Now we have a quadratic equation. If we want to get the value of a, we need to focus on how to solve this equation. Solving the equation means we need to move everything to the other side. So we have 25a squared minus 5a minus 6 is equal to 0. We can now draw this on Desmos, draw this side on Desmos, or you can use the mod 5.3 on your calculator. Let's use Desmos for this part and see how to graph it. So we can just write 25, and because we don't draw lists of numbers, we just make x instead of a. So 25x squared minus 5x instead of a minus 6 only. That's it. And we look at the intersection points here. This point, first one, is 0.6 and 0. Here 0.6 and 0, and the second one is negative 0.4 and 0. So here we have many answers, and as you can see, we have two answers, and be very careful in the square root number. We have 0.6 and negative 0.4. Let's write them here, 0.6 and negative 0.4. Which one is the correct one? You have to go back here and check your answer. So instead of x, write 0.6. Let's check this number first. F of x, we do not know the number, just leave it, and we write the square root of 5x, and 5 times 0.6 plus 6. Of course, this can be done using the calculator, because 5 times 0.6, what is 0.6? 0.6 is 3 over 5. So 5 times 3 over 5 plus 6. And we cancel these, and we have the square root of 3 plus 6. 3 plus 6 is 9. The square root of 9 is equal to 3. So now we have 3. But it says here, this is the right side. What about the left side? Left side is f of x. And f of x here is equal to negative 5x. And negative 5 times 0.6 is not a positive number. It's a negative number. How can a negative number in the left becomes equal to a positive number on the right? That's not a correct answer. So we cannot choose 0.6, which is 3 over 5. So 3 over 5 is not the answer. Now let's check negative 0.4. So in the left side, we have to write, let's write the right side first. The square root of 5x, 5 times 0.4. And 0.4 is actually 4 over 10, which is 2 over 5. But negative, so negative 2 over 5, and then plus 6. Cancel out these numbers, and we have negative 2 plus 6. Negative 2 plus 6 is 4. What is the square root of 4? It's equal to 2, positive 2. But the left side here is f of x is negative 5a. Negative 5 times negative 0.4, which means negative 5 times 2 over 5, but with negative. Negative times negative is a positive number, and 5 times 0.4 is equal to 2. Look at the left side, it's 2. The right side is also 2. So that's our answer. Negative 0.4, which means negative 2 over 5, letter C. This question is a little bit complicated, and it needs you, whenever you have a square root function, once you get two answers, you have to check them back in the question itself. You do not have to stop here. We must check them here. But you can also use Desmos for this kind of question. Maybe you can replace x with the a, and this value of the f of x by negative 5a, and then we get a solution to that. But here it's better to consider the manual solution, but just be careful of choosing the numbers. Another way of answering this question is to replace, or to solve back from the options. I mean, replace, if you want to check letter A, for example, replace x by a, by 3 over 5. So the square root of 5 times 3 over 5 plus 6. Now the square root of 9. Square root of 9 is equal to what? Is equal to 3. So the right side is 3. Is the left side 3? No. Negative 5 times a means negative 5 times 3 over 5, which is negative 3. Negative 3 in the left, positive 3 in the right, which means this is not correct. The same thing happens in B, and so on. You can check them all until you reach the answer. It takes some time, but it guarantees that your answer is accurate and correct. That's all about this session, this module, and then we will be back in the other section. Thank you very much. Bye.